If the names Jesus and Jehovah are wrong, then why is it that when you invoke them, you can feel a presence? You can feel a presence. That doesn't mean it's the presence, just to be clear. Just because you feel a presence doesn't mean it's the presence of the Most High, because it's written that angels disguise themselves as angels of light. Satan himself disguises himself as an angel of light. So the presence of Satan can also be felt, and it can feel as if it were an angel of light, as if what is there is light. I was watching a video where a man who was a Christian and had written books about the falsehood of the Catholic Church wrote a book specifically about how Mary is Semiramis and many things we've talked about here, about how the Babylonian religion completely infiltrated Christianity, and that's where the Catholic Church, the Catholic religion, comes from. Well, he knew all these things, but there came a moment when he had his existential crisis, which everyone has at some point in their lives, and he started to doubt what he believed. In other words, he started to doubt Christianity. He was a Christian evangelical pastor, and I was listening to him in an interview they did with him on a Catholic channel. It turns out that the man converted to Catholicism after having been a Christian his whole life. And there came a point where he was going crazy and said that he got angry with the Almighty. He got angry with the Almighty and challenged him. He doesn't say it like that, but that's what he did. He challenged him while looking at an image of Mary. Let that be clear. A person who knows that Mary is the Queen of Heaven, that she is a demon, etc., in his moment of weakness, challenged the Almighty by saying, "If you could part the Red Sea, how hard would it be for you to make Mary close one of my eyes?" I mean, do you see how illogical this is? To ask Yahweh, who tells us that we should not make images, who tells us that images can neither see nor walk, cannot move, who tells us that those who worship images are like the images themselves, deaf, blind, immobile, who tells us that we should not tempt Yahweh. This man who claimed to know him, since he was a pastor, tempted Yahweh. He asked him to make the image of Mary move and close its eye. When in scripture, in Proverbs, it says that the man who closes his eye is doing so to commit evil. So Yahweh is not going to make anyone close their eye, much less an image, and especially not because you are tempting him or because you need to see in order to believe. So this man got angry because the image didn't move. Of course Mary wasn't going to close an eye, and he went to his room to sleep. He was in something like, I don't know if it was a convent or a monastery, and a Catholic lady came looking for him, a local woman, and she said, "Can I talk to you?" So they sat down to talk, and he says he was on one side of the room and the lady was on the other, and he started to smell a very strong scent of roses. At that moment, when he says that, all the Catholics go, "Oh, see, because everyone knows about the rose from Guadalupe from the show, that's why it's called the Rose of Guadalupe." So when he starts to smell this, he says, "Wow, that's strange. This woman must be wearing a ton of perfume, and she's all the way on the other side of the room, and I can still smell it." When the lady was leaving, the man says to her, "Oh, I need to buy my wife a perfume. What perfume do you use?" The lady said to him, "Oh no, I'm not wearing any perfume." So then he started to cry and realized, at least according to him, that Mary had performed a miracle for him. A lot of Catholics know about this, that when they worship Mary, when they worship images and so on, they start to smell roses. They start to notice the scent of roses in the air. And that makes them believe they're worshiping the true one, that they're doing what's right because they feel like a miracle is happening. And they don't understand that in Thessalonians it says that Satan comes with false miracles, with false signs, so that those who are lost will be deceived, those who didn't have a love for the truth. So those who do not follow Yahushua will be deceived by the lie, with things that will seem miraculous.